have to say it's amazing to see so many familiar faces and new faces joining from all over the place, which is lovely. Today, we're going to have a very probably intense hour also because of the topic. But we've also have planned with Denise to discuss this question: how could a KM perspective allow us to more effectively address political polarization as facilitators? And we understand that maybe some people who are joining aren't necessarily facilitators, so you'll see that we've kind of framed the questions in a way that you can base it on your experience participating as well in events and spaces. So I just want to make a quick comment before I move further. And in the session that we just had on session 5, which was of the overall km4dev 20th anniversary celebration, we joined, it was a lot of people from Latin America. It was a session in Spanish, and we had a longer memorial, but Denise and I wanted to basically let everyone know that this session we decided to organize in honor of Camilo Villa, who was actually the reason both Denise and I met one another, and a very good friend and colleague that is dearly missed. This is what we asked you already to do, so I'm going to just jump over this. This is just a quick, I'm just going to give you a quick, some quick tips. So if you have questions while we're in this main room, I'll ask you to share them in the chat. We have also, in addition to my lovely co-host Denise, we have Cesar Robles, who's our magician, who has behind the scenes is super helping us out, which is amazing. I don't usually have this awesome help of a moderator and techie person, so it's lovely. If for some reason you get to a point where you can't hear or see, the best option is generally just to leave the meeting room and come back in. And then we're also we're recording the event, so we will be able to share what comes out of this. When you are in the main room, we're going to ask that we're going to keep people's mics closed generally, unless we call on you. And in the breakout rooms, they're going to be super dynamic, and the idea is that you're participating and chatting the whole way around. For those that are just joining the session, this is just to let you know that this session 6 is being held in the context and organized in the broader context of the 20th anniversary of km4dev, or Knowledge Management for Development, which is an amazing community of practice that I have been a bit of a lurker on for a number of years, and have had the pleasure of participating in events, some events around the world, and meeting wonderful people. And so we hope you have that opportunity today. And in that light, we have what is to create a thread through the series of sessions that are being held between today and tomorrow. We have a message from our last group, which is Latin America in the house. Abundant opportunities, rich in experience and fellowship. How to become more visible and solution-oriented was the question they were left with. So with that, I will pass you over to my lovely co-hosts, Denise and Martine.
Hello, thank you, Amy, and thank you, Cesar, as well. Welcome, everybody. So nice to see some familiar faces, some new faces. This is a topic that is worrying us as well. So we thought that this was a perfect opportunity to bring it up. And we're very glad that you also thought that it was a good moment to come together and think about this, reflect. The objective was this is an exploratory session to share and learn from the challenges in addressing political polarization from our perspective. and particularly facilitation processes, both face-to-face and now remotely. We would like to also share this specific objective that we have as well. We came out while planning the session that had to do with identifying concrete ways in which we can address this. So not just sharing what their experience and challenges are, but also trying to identify, okay, what can we put together to share and help others that are facing this challenge as well. Next slide, please. So, well, we wanted to share, we're not political scientists, so the idea of this session is not to discuss a definition of political polarization, but we bring you here a couple of definitions that may help us frame our debate, our exchanges today. A useful definition has to do with, well, a dictionary definition that you can see here has to do with the division into distinct opposites, right? It's a state in which the opinions, beliefs, interests of a group of society no longer range along a continuum, but become concentrated at opposing extremes. And that it relates to the next definition that we're sharing here that has to do with well, a publication that we share in the blurb of the session and the website that has to do with two researchers that the conclusion they come about after researching political polarization across the world is that it's about emotions, not facts. And it shatters informal but crucial norms of tolerance and moderation. So this made us think, okay, we work with emotions where we're facilitating and we're aware of this. So to what extent now in this current context of increasing political polarization, how we reflect the way we are touching upon these emotions while we facilitate. And that's our challenge, and that's what we wanted to share. And in terms of definitions for now, the session has been organized in 3 moments. Well, now we're in the introductory moment, and then we're going to be working about half an hour on breakout rooms. The breakout rooms are going to be small, about 5 people maximum, because the idea is that we have enough time to really dig into this heavy topic, right? And the way we're going to be working in these breakout rooms is using a tool called Jamboard. We're not sure everybody's familiar with it, so we're going to make a quick demo now to show you all together how it works. And we're going to be also in the background in case any questions arise. So if we can go now to show the Jamboard, just wait 1 second and we'll show you how it looks like and how it works. After that half an hour, we're going to be back into the main room and share what we worked on. Thank you. So this is what we're going to see in the link we're going to share in the chat of the breakout rooms. This is the Jamboard. You will notice it's similar to the sticky notes that we can use when working in teams. You'll see there are several steps that will tell you how it's going to work within the group. The first step is select a timekeeper, please, and one person who will share the results for the group. And then the step 2 is take a time to make for introductions. And here we have a suggestion if you would like to start presenting yourselves with the person who lives the farthest south, but you can decide a different type of way of introducing yourself. So this is a suggestion that we thought it could be useful to organize a bit the work of introducing. And then step 3, go to the next page and start answering the questions. We have 2 slides, separate slides with 2 questions. For each question, we have about 15 minutes. How are we going to work on this Jamboard for answering the questions? You're going to, first of all, go down, you will see the arrow going down now, and select one color. This is why it's only 5 people per group, because there are 5 colors in Jamboard. So you select one color and write your name. And that's it. I'm going to be yellow for the rest of the session, okay? So how do I share my sticky note with the others? So I go to this area on the left side of the screen and click on the sticky note icon. And there it goes. You say here. And then you make your note, you write down. It says guardar because Amy has it in Spanish. That's very sweet, Amy, but I guess it's quite intuitive. Don't worry, you'll be fine with the Spanish. Otherwise, ask us. And then guardar is save, and then it will show here. So it's yellow. I know underneath that if I look under, yeah, that my name is on yellow and my idea is on yellow. Okay, so if there are no questions about this, we are going to be around the groups in case questions arise. But if we're okay, then we can go to the breakout rooms now and enjoy.
Just one more thing. The links to your Jamboard, I will be pasting them as I navigate through the breakout room. So just bear with me for a minute while I get there to give you the link.
Okay. So can I have I guess we'll do a quick round of report backs from the groups. So who's our reporter from group 1?
I was in group 1, but then I had some audio issues and I signed off Zoom and then signed back in, and then it automatically put me in group 2. So I'm still in group 1 in the board, Jamboard, and posting notes, but I'm not reporting out yet. I was timekeeper, and we're still looking at a minute and a half or so for slide 2, and then we have to go on to slide 3. Will that put everything back or what?
So, well, we don't have more time to add right now. So basically, I'd like to ask the person was there someone from group 1 that is prepared
Denise?
to?
Yes, Grace was going to share the conclusions. Grace,
She
are you there?
was in there moderating, facilitating the group. I was timekeeper. So right now I'm showing still a minute.
Okay, so we're gonna pass it. We're gonna pass it over to Grace to give us a debrief. It sounds like you're
okay.
There you are.
From our group, the indications of polarization that the team members highlighted include during staff meetings, planning and strategy development engagements, prioritization and resource allocation engagements, and reporting, where varying ideas are presented by different actors. Then the other one is turning to media to try and avoid the political polarization. Also, in instances where someone is disrupted by the family relationships, and then there is inability to compromise when the other is not listening, then how have we tried to address the political polarization issue? one instance was provided that finding a common goal, focusing on the common goal and requiring ideas to be aligned to the common goal from all players, from all actors. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Grace. Who from group 2? Is our reporter?
We'll present for group 2. I'm Maureen Kenga from Nairobi, Kenya. We were 5 and then last we remained 4. There is George, Louis, Amy, Samantha, and I. So to answer the first question, in the context of events or spaces you facilitated or you've participated in what ways have you experienced political polarization? Some of the answers that we had are silence opinions which are not shared but reasons given, conflict between international NGOs and indigenous group. We had cases of like for example in Kenya whereby passing the national knowledge management policy, some are advocating for passing it through the parliament, whereby we have a bill that is passed into a law while another group is opting for passing just a policy through the executive arm of the government. We also had different understanding and expression of power on how to access, leverage, and advocate for KM. Those are some of the reasons of the answers that we got in question 1. And onto our question 2, tools, methods, and tactics applied to address the political polarities in the context or events where we are working. We had dialogue, that is open discussion and sharing best practices, including lessons learned from previous activities. We also had methods to collect opinions anonymously, a power analysis that allows for identification of decision makers and points of influence to leverage different corners of support to give an advantage to certain campaigns. We also had stakeholder mapping, alignment, and influence matrix, but this can be inflammatory, so it needs to be used with caution. What I really liked from our discussion, that is in brief among others, but what I learned, and this was George's comment, is that we should always focus on similarities in the various polarized groups instead of focusing on the differences. And I think if we do this, we're gonna go ahead well. Thank you.
Thanks, Maureen. Who do we have from group 3? Who's
That's Peter. Peter Beauty.
Hello, hi.
I'm right here.
Sorry. Thank you very much.
Maybe Raymond, can you present?
Yeah, he was just about to, I think.
Okay, thanks.
I'm Raymond Obare. I'm from Kenya. I'm presenting on behalf of Group 3, which had around 4 members. We had Peter, Nancy, me, and another guy from Kenya who is called Cheriot but dropped out. From the questions that we were trying to discuss, one of the questions was in the context of events or spaces you have facilitated. In what ways have you experienced political polarization? And from the group, we've got around a couple of responses, and one of them is in the COVID curfews. A person from Kenya said there was a lot of tension, especially between youth and police, because in Kenya there is a lot of there's a curfew, and so there was a lot of polarization. between young people and police have taken some ways of reducing that polarity by actually having these public barazas online, even on Facebook, on Twitter, having these Q&As with young people so that they could be able to reduce that tension. Also, somebody has said that COVID-19 has brought a lot of restrictions on people's rights, and that has brought a lot of tension between the state and the citizens. But still, we are seeing a lot of people coming out, especially with regards to the Black Lives Matter movement, and also a lot of conversations happening online. Also, the trends that I've been seeing is that people need to, especially as a community, people need to practice social listening so that we could be able to diffuse this polarity. Also, in terms of conversations, dialogue, and those platforms need to be activated and accelerated to ensure that they are working for the people. Also, going forward, there was a lot of interest with regards to how we can be able to find the solutions. So solutions, some people have said that we need to actually to share knowledge. What practices that have worked in certain areas can be able to be adopted and cascaded in other areas so that they could be able to catalyze a lot of harmony and a lot of membership going forward. Thank you very much.
It is 10 p.m.
Thank you very much, Raymond. We're gonna, if people are up for it, we're gonna go about 5 minutes more so we can hear from group 4 and then do a quick wrap up.
Okay, that's me. So maybe could you load our
Yes, ma'am.
session? Thank you very much. We were with Rachel, Sophie, Rocio, and Amy. You joined us for a bit as well. So we were the 4 of us. We had a bit of a struggle with what political polarization actually meant in the beginning, but we had some examples like facilitating water for agriculture in Southern Asian countries. The situation was very polarized, and that in Colombia, this sort of polarization is also very much in the air for against the peace process. So Rachel was talking about during a training, a feminist training, there was a lot of extreme opposition between male and female members, what women's leadership meant. And I said also, I've experienced, but usually it never is really very formally expressed, so it remains lurking in the background. And Rocio was talking about a discussion about whether or not to write a statement about racism when she was in an online group. Okay, could you go to the next slide, please? Thanks. So what tools, methods, and tactics have we applied? Sophie suggested you just need to get help. This goes for polarization and everything else. Rocio was saying that sometimes you just have to work around it. And she gives an example of her work with Colombian press releases where you could not actually mention conflict. Rachel had ideas of how to overcome conflict, agreeing on common ground rules at the beginning to guide us, and that leadership needs to be brought in to help find common ground, and indeed selecting common ground before the meeting. I think that's more or less the same thing. Okay, that's the report from the group 4. I don't know if anyone else has got anything to add from that group.
Thank you, Sarah. So, thank you to all the groups for your report outs. Sounds like you had very interesting conversations. We're gonna just throw up one last slide that we'd be interested if people have like a quick intervention to as we close out, because we've been asked to give a relay message to the next session, which is for Latin America and the US, it's in the middle of the night, but for the Europeans, it's in the morning, and the people in Africa and Asia. So, so I'm going to just share a quick slide and see what reactions you have to this question. And I invite you to either share in the chat your ideas. The question is, what are some of the common threads that you saw across these presentations that we just heard from? And maybe if someone would like to also share speaking, or Denise, if you'd like to.
Yes, hi, I just pasted the question as well in the chat. And I mean, this is the last thing we're asking you to do for today. So you can take a moment to reflect on it and share in the chat will be great. And then we will combine your answers and try to come up with a relay message for the next session. Because we have no more time, I guess. We need to wrap up. Okay, I see one answer from Sarah. I think it's difficult to talk about. Actually, I thought the ideas were really, really helpful. Okay. Rocio says, I liked what Jorge said about finding commonalities to reach agreements. That's something that Grace also said in our group, finding common goals, active listening, having good conversations. From Larry, deep listening. Facilitators need to listen to participants, create dynamics, and really listen to each other. Yeah, listening, it seems like a keyword emerging here. Yeah. Okay, thank you very much, everyone. We'll make a summary out of all of this and share it. Share it with all the participants.
Thank you all for participating.
Very interesting.
Thanks,
Thank you.
facilitators. Thanks, everybody.
There's a little form linked in the last message of the chat, so it would be also great if you can click there and give us your feedback about this session. I'm posting it. Well, it's there already. Thank you, everyone.